James is having some cod with some yams and stuff. And he'll be talking, it looks like, about Jane Seberg?
Gene Seberg and Jane Fonda.
Oh.
It's not Jane Seberg and Jane Fonda.
Yeah, I got it all mixed up.
Yeah.
And I'm just drinking hot lemon and honey.
Yeah.
Keep my hands warm.
Yeah, I've got unmatching mittens. Sometimes I wear socks that aren't matching. I'm kind of proud I've got socks that match.
Today.
Yeah, that's unusual. Unmatching, well, hand shoes. So here we go. Played out, the Jane Seberg story. It was played out, well, this story was put out in 1980. I think the paperback version was 81. And this is called Not Citizen Jane. Someone else did that. I think it's a pun on Citizen Kane. But I think sometimes the commies used to call themselves Citizen, right? Jane Fonda, the private life of a public woman. So I gotta admit, it was kind of like, for me it was kind of like that Neil Young title. I used to be Fonda. I think for Neil Young it was Fonda Wanda, right? But back in the day, before I really knew who she was, I think the first time I saw her in a movie that I can remember was Cat Ballou.
You better eat your cod, or you're going to end up with cold fish and you're going to be unhappy.
Yeah, I don't like cold fish that much. So.
Yeah.
Or as the French call it, I think they call it morue. M-O-R-U-E. That might be another type of fish, mackerels. But it's called. So, your French extraction, French speaker, Frank, phone. Welcome to the club. Not that I'm Francophone. Pauline is part French, half French. And proud of it.
I'm not proud. I don't
and you're
care
not
one way or
pretentious
the other.
about it.
I don't care.
Well, anyway.
I'm fine.
Okay, so where do I start? Fair number of pictures in both of these, and according to Western standards, Hollywood standards, whatever, they're both lookers. Right? I guess Jane Fonda's still alive. Poor Jane Seberg. They cut her hair off for. They cast her when she was 17 to be in St. Joan. I think it was a movie, kind of reworking of the play by George Bernard Shaw. I wonder when that was put out. Maybe roughly 1920. So this would have been 1956, the movie remake. And they cut her hair. This isn't so gruesome, but she actually makes the short hairstyle look good according to Western standards. She had at least some Swedish extraction, so she's got the kind of the small nose and fairly large chin. So that seems to be something like the ideal. But you can see how they had her as St. Joan, and you can see how this director Otto Preminger, I don't know how they mispronounced his name, browbeating her, and you can see that she's just not enjoying the experience. She's only 17 years old, maybe getting up to 18 at this point in time. She had some experience on stage. This is her in high school and stuff like that. I show you on camera, but it's so small you won't be able to see it. This one you can barely see it even here. Here she's burning at the stake. And of course they had to make it Hollywood, even though this was, I think, at Shepperton Studios in London. And they had a couple of gas canisters that didn't go off, so they set them. And she got seared on the face. It just blew up, kind of like.
Nice.
And this is like when she's 18, maybe 17. And she had permanent scars like on her stomach. I don't think they were terribly bad, but she could have been fried. This Otto Preminger is an awful person, So he was trying to make her tough or something like that, and he was browbeating her. But apparently he did that with lots of actors. Awful person. Scarred her as an actor. Apparently she was suffered from set fright, if not stage fright, for the rest of her short life. So I'm reading her this stuff, and I'm going, okay, bipolar, or the way I think of it, because it's hard to keep up with the way they change things. I'm afraid it's probably politically correct. Manic depressive, right? So I'm just going, oh, she's manic depressive. Eventually in the 70s they started treating her with lithium, so I figured some of the doctors were going around saying, okay, she's manic depressive. Now the thing is, she thought she was schizophrenic, eh? Nah, she wasn't. She was way too competent to be a schizophrenic, so she could function. So here you recognize this guy, homely French actor, Jean-Paul Belmondo. I don't know where we might have seen this movie, Breathless. I'm not sure. He was a boxer, but geez, it might have improved his facial features. The French are so sexist, or they have been. You look at the people that the women that they'd be featuring on screen. Catherine Deneuve,
Yeah, they're
Brigitte
stunning.
Bardot, Jean Seberg eventually made it in France. She had trouble making
But then there's Gerard Depardieu.
Oh man, the man!
Like,
oh, God.
I mean, he never would have been attractive.
No, the
Never.
big honker, and Jean-Paul Belmondo, on and on and on and on it goes. These ugly, ugly guys, and then they'd probably be picking the women up. They tend to be blondish. Jane Fonda, I mean, she married a French director, and she had her, Barbarella, maybe a couple other movies. What was the one called? We've got some advertising for this one movie. They tried to sell. You see, this was in New York, in Times Square. Circle of Love, and this is back in the day when that would have been really worse than risky, or more than risky, I should say. Worse suggests some sort of thing. So as you can see, she was kind of even before she made it over in France, she was kind of portraying herself as a bit of a bombshell. So that's 66. She's down to a bra, and she's got some pants on, but with Robert Redford with a square haircut, it looks great. Back in the day. But here's the guy that I think this was her first marriage, Roger Vadim, or Roger Vadim. And this guy, apparently, at one point in time, one of the funniest things, I think it's in this book, he fell on, I think it was on a movie set, and maybe separated his shoulder, but everyone thought it was way up high. Everyone thought it was like that. So 4 women get into the ambulance with them. They're all concerned, and I think they're all wives or former wives.
That's funny.
Now check this out again. Look at how homely he is. He kind of looks like, he joked, he kind of looked like an alien, right? Like he's from Mars. And you can see the kid that they bore. The poor thing. I mean, she did get better looking, but yeah. Check that kid out.
Oh my gosh.
How could that come from Jane Fonda?
Yeah.
It's because of the father. The father was Roger Vadim. Yeah. Poor thing. It did get a little bit better. Yeah. But what was I going to say? Yeah. So check who's in the ambulance. These are wives or former wives. Jane Fonda, with those kind of looks. One other hot-looking movie star, or starlet, or whatever, Brigitte Bardot and Catherine Deneuve.
Wow.
What a guy! What a sleaze bucket! And all of them, the formula. I think he might have had a bit of trouble with Deneuve, but Brigitte Bardot was a big bombshell.
Well, they found him hot for some reason.
Yeah, well, I think it's for the careers as much as anything. But he was just a user, so I'll show you a little picture of, you can see here. Sometimes the eyes have it. So this is Roger Vadim getting Jane Fonda ready for filming Barbarella. You tell me what you think. Is Jane Fonda enjoying the experience? Look at the
No.
eyes. Yeah. Her pupils are constricted. She hates it. She knows she's being used. So that's what this Vadim was like. What a sleaze bucket. Yeah, you can see her eyes. Like you can barely see her pupils. All you see are, I don't know if she had blue eyes or light green eyes or gray eyes or whatever. But there he is. You see, like he's, like with both of these women, I hope times have changed a little bit. You see how he's kind of like into her social space. You see what I'm saying? But it's not just him. Here he is. He's kind of dominating, sitting at the back. This one's okay. This is Peter Fonda, Jane Fonda's brother, and her dad, Henry Fonda, and he's not really dominating too much. Here, you see how this director is. This is her insignificant other. See how he's coaching her, leaning into the space, right? This one, that's him again, an older father figure. She's always trying to replace her dad, right? Vadim, the director, this guy.
You need to eat your cod, or it's going to be disgusting.
Yeah, exactly
for you.
right. Here she's kind of leaning over other people, looking at, I think, Geraldine Page, who was apparently her idol or something like that. Yeah, check this director out. See how he's just... Now, look at this guy. I want to touch you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't.
exactly.
It's just
it must have been tough.
awful stuff. Now this is even her dad. See, cigarette in hand, and you see how patient she is. She's almost got her hands folded there in her lap and stuff like that. It's awful. So this is her mom. I think her mom committed suicide. Her mom actually had some looks on her by Hollywood standards, and that's her daughter. Henry Fonda's stepdaughter, Pam. You can see this is just before Henry Fonda divorced his wife, right? It
he
shows
doesn't
so much.
seem to have any care for the family.
No, and you can see who's caring about him, right?
Yeah.
Jane Fonda's looking at him, kind of inquiring, like, what is it about this guy? So it says the Fondas photographed for Harper's Bazaar in Greenwich in the spring of 1948. He is triumphing on Broadway in Mr. Roberts and is about to break up his marriage. So you can see Peter Fonda just doesn't seem to have a care in the world, although I'm afraid he probably had all sorts of cares in the world. There's a cute picture of Jane Fonda when she was younger at their Tiger Tail. I think it was kind of like their country retreat. It ended up getting burned up. So there's Henry Fonda before he started losing the hair. Henry Fonda at the height of his beauty. They actually use the term beauty. I think it's because he had big, long eyelashes.
Well, he was quite attractive.
Yeah, he was. He was tall too. You can see how he just.
Yeah, a lot of people go for that.
Yeah. I never think of it. As soon as I see how gangly he is, I'm going, yeah, that kind of counteracts that. Tall people, I don't find terribly attractive. I don't think she enjoyed getting that picture taken. You can see how. Here she's playing a prostitute. You see how this guy's encouraging her to, and here she's on the set, emphasizing her hip or hips or whatever, So it changed, and then it kind of changed back. So here she is. Well, here's a person, I think, trying to help them out. I think this is part of the, the scene. They shoot horses, don't they? I remember when that came out. I've never seen the movie, actually. So here she's playing more independent women. The hair gets cut shorter. Here she is with Donald Sutherland, our token Canadian down there, and Shirley Sutherland, who was married to Donald Sutherland.
Canadian.
I know what I'm talking about. Is
in the book.
Yeah. So he was married to Shirley Sutherland for a while, and her maiden name was Shirley Douglas. So I think she was the daughter of Tommy Douglas, who was almost like the founder of the NDP, our socialist party here in Canada. Here she got arrested. She was being pushed around. So she was charged with smuggling drugs from Canada. Apparently she had 100 vitamin pills. It's just pushed around by the government. So FBI. This is such a groveling picture. I could barely look at it. Sees Jane perched on an anti-aircraft gun, sings an anti-war song to North Vietnamese soldiers, and this was in North Vietnam, and journalists in July 1972. For this, she was later demonized as Hanoi Jane. Demonized? No. When you do this kind of stuff, according to her, someone plunked the helmet on her. When you do something like this, when your country is fighting a war, and they're actually, although they're not saints, they're not the sinners like the so-called North Vietnamese were. They're commies. Awful people. Murderous people. When they took over in Vietnam and then moved into Cambodia, the stories go that they killed 1 million people in Cambodia in very short order. 1 million people. Lord knows how many people they killed when they moved into South Vietnam. That's in short order. You get people like Chomsky saying, "Oh, the Americans, they killed 1 million people in Vietnam." Okay, from 1954 to 1972 is 18 years. The commies, when they took over in Cambodia, not Pol Pot, I mean those ones, they were incredible, 2 million maybe in very short order. The North Vietnamese killed 1 million in a year. That's like 18 times the murder rate. And, like with the Americans, it was like fighting a war. Now, what's the thing? What's Chomsky say? Who's we? I'm not on any team he's on. We have to be 10 times better. Okay, they were 18 times better than the commies. So what's your beef, Noam? No brain Chomsky. So yeah, she was going with this short hairstyle and stuff like that. Then she goes with another user. This guy would order her around. Okay, you're doing this, you're doing that. Tom Hayden was a Maoist, I gather. It was something like that in the 60s. So he should have been sensitive to these kind of issues with women. But apparently he was, like telling her what to do with her career. Here she's kind of joking around with him. He's not really, at least on camera, as pushy as the men were before. Here's some movies here. Well, this is a scene chasing robards and stuff like that. There, this is a cute picture of 9 to 5 with Lily Tomlin and Dolly Parton. Jane Fonda playing. I guess actually, I've never seen the movie. Did you see it?
I watched it, but I don't remember it at all.
No, I think Dolly Parton did the song 9 to 5. Did a pretty good song. Here she wins her Oscar. She's very happy about that. She doesn't seem to be very happy. I think she's worried about her dad. This is when they're filming on Golden Pond, or around that time, and I don't think her dad's alive.
Well, you seem to really have enjoyed the book, anyway.
I don't find it enjoyable to see what she went through. You know what I'm saying? Because here she's doing. This is when she's kind of independent, right? She's doing the aerobics thing. You could probably remember that from when you were about 8 years old or something. She's the woman that got it going. But then she marries Ted Turner, a big capitalist kind of
Weird.
guy. Yeah, really weird. Here she is at a baseball game. What would she care about baseball? So here she is at the Oscars wearing a Versace gown. What the heck is that? Like,
Yeah, that's a pretty
that's
ugly gown.
awful. It's just terrible stuff. Here she is at Vadim's funeral.
Well, she looks amazing there.
For her age. Awesome.
Jeez, for any age.
Yeah.
Gosh.
There we go. So 2020, when would have she been born? I don't know, maybe 35 or something like that. So 75 at this. She smoked for a while. I don't think she smoked for a long time. So it's a horrible story. The FBI was doing, like monitoring and stuff like that, thoroughly illegal stuff. Poor Jane Seberg, she wasn't nearly as stable as Jane Fonda. But how much time?
Well, you have 10 minutes.
Yep. So I think she had issues with her father too. Her father was kind of, what was he, a pharmacist or something like that? And he was distant, maybe a little bit like Henry Fonda. So the one thing is she had a wonderful smile. And this is the trouble, like she should have been playing. I was looking at this and then I was reading the early stuff and I was going, she should have been playing light comedy. You know, it'll look like that, and so on and so forth. Here she's dancing, and you can see she's all out. She's doing it wrong. You see how you're. He's. See how hands. Poor thing. But this is what she should have been doing. See that smile?
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if that's a comedy. It's Sabrina Fair. The title seems like a comedy. So this is her in high school, and this is not her playing St. Joan. This is not her getting burned almost to a crisp on a set in London, England. So this is maybe not her really. You know, she should be smiling. But yeah, I mean, the French considered her hot looking, and so to a certain extent I did. See, here she is at a homecoming when she's still 18 or stuff like that, and this is her drama teacher. See the smile there? Here, smile here. It's homecoming. Here, she's making up for. She marries a novelist who's 25 years older, right? And you can see she's got the smile, and this guy's wow. He's saying he's half Jewish, half Tatar, which is half Turkic, and then I think there's some Russian in there and stuff like that. Romain Gary, although he wrote in French, he's considered one of the great writers, I think, of the 20th century. So here she was getting ready to film Bonjour Tristesse, which was written by this young woman, and it was kind of her teenage memoirs or something like that. Well, fictionalized. So she's not really smiling there. Here's her at her first wedding, and you see she's smiling. Here she's smiling at Jean-Paul Belmondo, saying, Jesus Christ, what an ugly looking mug that guy's got. Jean-Paul Belmondo. Look at who she's with there. You recognize the dude on the left? Yeah. So this is before Clint Eastwood really became big, and they had an affair going, okay? And Clint, as they say in this thing, had a very public marriage. So Clint, what a nasty guy, and she's nasty too. She would have known that he was married too. But yeah, Clint was really bad because she was really cut up about when the movie ended. Paint Your Wagon.
Yeah, I watched that. That was so bad.
Yeah, Lee Marvin. Geez, I don't know if anyone had a voice. They tried to give her voice lessons. Clint, I don't think would have had much of a voice. And Lee Marvin, I can only imagine. They say he was drunk throughout the filming. And but Clint Eastwood, as soon as the filming is over, Gene Seberg wants to get together with him, get on with him. So, who are you? You know, what a scumbag, eh? I mean,
someone to
keep
him warm on the set.
Yeah, what a scumbag.
Yeah.
And trying to pretend as though he's a family man and all this sort of stuff. I don't know if he's that way all the way along. I don't know. Clint, buddy, if you're watching, better wise up. So there she is. You see,
probably almost dead.
Oh yeah, he's significantly older. I can remember watching Clint Eastwood back in the day before I knew he was. I used to watch. I'm old enough. I watched the TV show Rawhide, and that was one of my favorite shows. So I was a big Clint Eastwood fan back in the day. Here she is after losing her daughter. Check this guy. So she was a big supporter of the Black Panthers, and so was Jane Fonda. Fonda gave up on it a little bit before Gene Seberg did. So, this sort of stuff, if anything, it was wilder and crazier, support for wild and crazy black people. African Americans. I'm part African American, I've been told by my dad. Okay? So don't go around saying, oh, he's a whitey. Okay? It was wilder and crazier. So she really supported this guy, Hakeem Jamal. I think his middle name was Abdullah. Okay? And here's Gail Benson. She doesn't look that white, but I guess she was classed as white. So what happens to her? One of these flunky, radical black guys has some of his flunkies stab her to death. Well, they stabbed her, threw her into something like an open grave, threw some soil over her. She wasn't entirely dead. So, that's what the kind of people that poor old Gene Seberg and Jane Fonda was supporting. This guy eventually was shot to death by fellow Black Panthers who didn't really like him dividing the movement or stuff like that. So yeah, that's what they were dealing with, you know. Like, so they are all paranoid about the FBI. The FBI was doing a smear campaign. Like, what they were doing was they were saying this guy, Hakeem Jamal, was the parent of her daughter, the daughter that.
Oh, okay.
So that's the smear campaign, and she was all caught up about it. It doesn't look quite right, you know. Like, you're all upset because people are saying the daughter is part black, you know, like, and you're supporting black people. It's because you're patronizing them or stuff like that. You see. So here's a user. This guy was using her to advance his. It didn't work out. His movie making career. You can see there's something wrong with him. You see that lovely smile. She should have been just doing light comedy, leaving the Black Panthers alone. And you can see here's another user, Ahmed Hasni. So eventually she went from supporting wild and crazy black people to supporting wild and crazy Muslims. And secular Muslims as much as religious ones. So this guy, I believe, was Palestinian, maybe he's Tunisian. She really supported the Palestinians. Mistake. But you can see how far she's gone downhill, right? And here she is, maybe just in 1979, it says. So this is, she committed suicide in September, maybe September the 8th, stuff like that. But you can see how she thinned down. They were saying she's 50 pounds overweight on the lithium, and I'm afraid someone got to her.
She still looked beautiful.
Yeah, but the eyes are so sad. Yeah. Anyway, there was a lot of craziness in the, you know, like people supporting people of color and stuff like that, and they ended up, so many of them, in control in academia and stuff like that, and now their offspring and stuff like that. They're getting ready for the 2020s. It's going to be crazy, I'm afraid. You know, like they went wild and crazy in academia in the 90s, and now they're planning to, well, take over really. But I think it's the end of the left-wing movement. I can't see it being revived because there are very few left-wingers left. I don't know if Pauline even classes herself as a left-winger. I do,
when they're wanting to take over, they don't really think things through too well. It's they're accustomed to more of an immediate response, knee-jerk sort of thing. They're very good at manipulating amiable people, but they don't have a long-term sort of patient plan in place, whereas a lot of aggressive people who are rulers, they can be very patient.
Yeah, like Joseph Stalin's classic, right?
And so when you're playing this power game, the rulers always win. It doesn't end up well for the aggressive propagandist.
No.
If you look
end up in Siberia.
Historically, you look around the world at what has happened to aggressive propagandists, it doesn't end up well for them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't end up well for society. Because if you're an aggressive propagandist and you're wanting to control the minds of other people rather than encourage free thought and free speech and stuff like that for people who are not you know, it's it doesn't end up well. It doesn't end up well for anyone.
So, classic example, Mayakovsky, the Russian